Hey there, game gurus. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit more on the TI99 4A. Unfortunately, it's not going to be on the TI99 4A. I just cleaned up. I got from Tim. This machine looks great, but the one thing about these old computers is, especially the TI, ColecoVision, and a couple other machines that use its architecture, it did come with 16K of RAM, but that is also the video RAM. So basically, everything this machine does runs out of that 16K video RAM until you add in a memory expansion. And one thing you'll notice on TI is if the screen starts glitching, the graphics start getting messed up, that's usually a sign that the memory in here at least has one chip that has a fault. It could be more, it could be just one. But once you start seeing graphic glitches, the computer is not going to function properly. I/O, disk access, everything, because everything runs in that memory. So this thing would run fine for a few minutes, and then maybe after 10 minutes of use, the video would start glitching out, and then that was it. So not all hope was lost. Now the memory in these machines used a negative 12 volts, which is not common today, but back then that's what they kind of did. And those chips are still relatively available, but you can also add what I did to this one right here. This is one of my other TIs. You can see it's on a VGA monitor, because I installed what's called an F18A, which is a fully programmable gate array video chip replacement. And that video chip replacement also incorporated the memory that it would have. This one has bad RAM on the motherboard, but it's not using it. It's all using the memory now in this F18A. So we're going to do a video today on an item called PassFort. Now the real meaning of this video, of course I had to go sidetracked to show why this machine is not on anymore, is that today, in today's world, there are a lot of security breaches, right? You have those security breaches, and people are getting their social security and passwords and emails and all those things stolen. So also in this world, you have to have a lot of passwords. There's a password for everything in this world, and I'm one of the people that will never use one of those password programs or any of those apps, because there's always a chance it gets breached. Sure, they talk about great security and great encryption, but also if you forget that password, you're screwed. But on top of that, there's always the risk of someone coming online into your machine or anywhere your passwords are stored and getting information from it and encrypting it and getting it. So PassFort is a cartridge for the TI99 4A that, no one's going to hack. This machine is not on the internet, and unless you have direct access to the machine, you're not going to get those passwords, and it's still encrypted. Today on Glenn's Retro Show, let's take a look at PassFort for your TI99 4A.
Game on.
Okay, so you can see it's not on this screen anymore because this is my composite screen where the other TI was composite out. This TI actually has VGA out thanks to the FPGA F18A that's in here. Now the F18A could be used in a ColecoVision, an Atom computer, TI, MSX computers, anything that uses the TMS video chip. But they're very hard to come by. I don't even know if they're made anymore. I know he's been trying to make new styles of it, but there are other options. So just saying that. I'll try if I find those links and put it down in the description. But this one has VGA out, so it's now on this screen over here. And I'll move the camera in a minute to get a better shot of that. But right now we're going to talk about this here, which is PassFort. And PassFort is a cartridge, like I said, for your TI99 4A. He must have taken another game and repurposed it. It's a real cart here, and this is called PassFort. And right now, this is version 1.0. This is a beta release of the program, but this will let you put passwords. It won't store it here. You do need a disk drive right now. He is looking at using cassette in the future, which I'm dying. I want to spend like an hour restoring my passwords. I know it sounds stupid, but these old computers, I always want to have an option to use cassettes. But in any case, I pulled out my original Texas Instruments peripheral expansion box. Now I will say this about TI. Back in the day, you had the war between Commodore and Texas Instruments because of the calculator chips, and TI did kind of screw Jack Tramiel and Commodore with those chips. So Tramiel had blood in his sights with Texas Instruments. Now the TI computers here, they always used top quality components, stainless steel, great chips. If Indiana Jones could fit inside this, he definitely would have survived the nuke. This thing is a tank. I do have a floppy drive in here and 32K. So another thing I want to mention is this cartridge does require 32K memory expansion. Now you don't necessarily need the big peripheral expansion box. You can get, they now have small little sidecars and other ways you can add 32K, even internally if you wanted to, but I couldn't find my other one. So out came my big peripheral expansion box with the 32K and my TI over here. And I also have this called the Navarone. It's a little cartridge expander. I'm going to pull this thing out for a second. And you can pull and insert cartridges in the TI without turning it off. But this allows you to put up to 3 cartridges in at once. I do have Miss Pac-Man there, but the TI doesn't have any direct way to format discs or initialize discs. You actually need what's called the Disk Manager cartridge. You can see right there. So I'm going to take the PassFort cartridge. I'm going to put that in the top slot right here. So I have everything I need right here. And I'm going to slide that into the TI's cartridge port right here. And you can see the screen glitches, but that's okay. Hit the reset button. And it comes back. Again, the TI was designed to hot insert cartridges. It was. You just hit that little button and reset it, or you would press these 2 keys right here to do the same function. Of course, you could turn it off, but why bother doing that? So we're going to take a look right now. Now to do this, since it doesn't support cassettes right now, you have to have some of these little bad boys. I happen to have some. I had to search. This took me about a week to find through all my boxes my 5 1/4 inch floppies. Now this is a blank, never used Radio Shack double density MS formatted disc, which I'm going to unformat the MS-DOS because TI had its own disc format, and that's what we'll be using the Disk Manager 2 cartridge. So I'm going to move the camera over a little bit to kind of get this a little bit in here better. You don't need to see me, you need to see the screen and everything else going on here. We're going to go from formatting a disc to using this cartridge. Again, this is version 1 beta. It is not the official release. I'm kind of helping in beta test this. But I really like the thought behind this, and it does have encryption locally. But let me move this camera, get in here a little bit better so we can see what's going on. And let's try this PassFort out for putting our passwords in and making sure that they're not stolen online. Okay, we're going to go on handheld mode for a little while. So you can see that F18A really gives you an awesome picture because obviously it's coming out VGA. We have our PassFort cartridge installed right here in our TI, you can see it right there, and we have our peripheral expansion box. So the first thing we need to do, we'll just launch the cartridge, I guess, and see what's going on there. So I'm going to press any key on the keyboard. This is funny. Press any key to begin. People be like, where's any key? I don't know which key is any key. Well, any key is any key you can press. Okay, I guess I'm going to press any key on the keyboard because that's what that means, any key on the keyboard. And you can see it has 1 for TI Basic and 2 for PassFort. I'm going to press 2 for PassFort. And it says, welcome to PassFort, your password manager, version 1.0 beta. Press enter. What if you press any key? Actually, it doesn't do anything. See, any key doesn't work. I'm going to press enter. Thanks for helping me debug Glenn's Retroshow. That would be me. So I'm going to press enter again. And you can see we have just a few options right here. It does say there's 0 passwords stored right now, nothing selected. You can load a vault, you can create a vault, and information. For right now, I'm going to press I for information. And this gives you some basic information. It's telling you where to go for the actual documentation. It's blog.boyeau.com/PassFort. And it does tell you it's a disclaimer, it's a password manager, but it's provided as is, okay? So it is what it is. Now press any key. And it does give me a serial number information on here. And, well, we're going to press any key again. Back to the main screen. Now, right now, like I said, this doesn't support save anything to the cartridge itself. You need, right now, currently, some type of floppy disk, either an original Texas Instruments peripheral expansion box, which I have right here with a floppy drive, or just a floppy controller with a floppy drive, or one of the new modern SD card floppy drive emulators, okay? But I'm using a real floppy. So we have to come back over here, and like I said, there's no direct disk management built into the TI, so I'm going to hit the reset button over here, and I'm going to pick my 3rd slot. Now this doesn't come with the TI, this is a third-party thing. Normally you have to take a cartridge out and put another cartridge in. Hit the reset button again, and now I'm going to pick disk management. Now TI did offer their cartridges in multiple languages way back in the day, but obviously I'm going to pick 2 for English. And this is Disk Manager 1982 version 2.0. And we have a bunch of different commands over here. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to take this disk, and this, I don't know when this was manufactured, I have no idea, but it is brand new. I had a bunch of these. This is a Radio Shack double density MS formatted floppy that is going to be, well, not MS floppy formatted anymore. I'm going to go over to my TI over here, put this disk in with my notch up, slide this in, and close it down. This thing is a beast. This whole machine is a beast. If this thing could kill you. This thing is a beast. So I'm going to get back over here and go to my commands. And one of the commands here is 2 disk commands. So I'm going to press 2 and press enter. I can catalog a disk, back up a disk, modify a disk, or initialize. I'm going to initialize this disk, so I'm going to press number 4. It is, the TI did support up to 3 different floppy disks. I'm going to be using floppy disk number 1. And you can see when I do that, the drive light went on, and it says, hey, I'm going to do a little activity. Maybe I can put it just like that. We can kind of see everything. And it's asking for a disk name. Now, this is going to be used for PassFort. I'm going to put PassFort. Now, the TI doesn't really have upper and lowercase letters. It's just smaller versions of the uppercase, but I'm going to put PassFort version 1, because that's what this is. Press enter on that. Now, this is an older, original type of disc. It's only got 40 tracks, single-sided. Single-sided. If you need to go to the other side, you have to physically open this up, take the disc out, turn it over, and put it back in. So it's not a double-sided drive. Put this back in the way it was, close it up, press enter. It is a single-sided, yes it is. It is a single density, not a double density, but that's okay. It can still use those type of discs. That's all right. And you can see down here, you get the little disk activity light right down in the corner. And of course, you got the drive activity light right there. And it's initializing the disk. Again, these older machines take time in doing so. Here goes the sectors right now. It's going through all the sectors. All right, it believes it is completed and it is working. So what I could do, if you look on the TI as well, this is another kind of a cool thing they did. Now the original TI99 used a chiclet keys. So you could put an overlay over the entire keyboard and see what different functions do. But they went with the real keyboard, they gave you this little overlay up here that sits on the top. And it gives you options like delete, insert, erase, clear, begin, proceed, aid, redo, back, and quit. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do function. You can see it's got a gray dot and a red dot. The red dot would be control, and the function would be the gray. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go catalog disk. Let's go catalog disk 1 again. I'll give it to the screen. I don't have a printer attached or anything else like that. And it does say disk name is PassFort version 1, available 358, used 0. So now what I'm going to do is I hit the reset button, or I can do this. Both do the exact same thing. That's just a little bit easier. I'm going to move my slider up to the passport, or you have to put your passport cartridge in by removing that one. And I'm going to do this again. And now I'm going to go back into PassFort. Again, I'm going to press enter to go through. Again, we get my welcoming. And we have options again. Now, there's nothing to load, because there's nothing put on here yet from PassFort. It's just a formatted disk with that name. So I'm going to go to C, create my vault. So I'll press C. And now you have to put a password for this. And we'll get into why that is in a little bit. So I'm going to give it a password again. This is just for testing purposes. I'm going to put in, it's a minimum of 6, a max of 25. We'll put in 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Press enter. You want to repeat that to make sure you got it in correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it will compare them, make sure they're right. It says good, the passwords match. My encryption key is now protected with my password. Will you save your vault? Yes or no? And will I do it in disk 1? Both are yes. So I'm going to say yes, and it is now saving my encrypted file for PassFort onto this floppy diskette. And I do hope at one point it could be exported to a cassette. And it would really be cool, again, I'm not a programmer, I'm not a hardware engineer as far as TI goes, if there could be some type of onboard flash where it could actually store it inside the flash on the cartridge. That would be even better, because you can store everything on the cartridge and hide your cartridge away. Now it does take a little time to save, because this does encrypt the all the files. So it's got to do all that on the 16-bit CPU that's actually in here, which is still from 1979. So remember, it's not the fastest thing in the world. So that's now all done. So now the next thing I could do, you can see there's another listing right here, P, where I can add passwords, delete passwords, search passwords, and then save and export to a CSV file, which would be for like Excel. But I'm going to go to P, and see I have options down here. Now P is previous page, there's nothing on here. N is next page, again there's nothing on here yet. And then you have S, D, A, and T, and Q. Q is obviously quit, D is delete, A is add, and I believe the S is to save. So we're going to add. I'm going to press A for add. It's going to say what description. So I'm going to put in, let's say, a bank. So I'm going to say my bank ID. Oops, we have to go shift back there. ID and password. So my bank. You can see the TI. I was wrong before. The 4A does give you upper and lower case. The original TI99 4 computer did not. That was the one with the chiclet keys. It's been a while since I had these out. Press enter on that. What's the username to go into the bank? I'm going to say that my username is GRSID. So that's the ID I would use to get into my bank account. What's my password? My password is going to be, I'm going to say 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be the password. Press enter on that. Now, I would have liked if it let you do it twice, but you do see it on screen, so I guess you don't need to. Before, it was actually hidden behind asterisks. But since you can actually see what the password is on screen, you want to do it the one time. You can see right now, my bank ID and password. So if I was to, let's add a couple more before I do that. Let's go add a couple more. I'm going to add another one. Press A, add a description. This one's going to be my internet. ID and password. Press enter on that. What's the username? I'm going to put GRS Internet and enter. And my password on this one is going to be all ones. And I'll press enter on that. You know, I've now added 2 separate passwords. Now again, nothing's saved. You got to make sure you go back and save this, but I'm going to add another one here. So I'm going to go to add. And this time I'm going to put in a password for, let's see, what do I use? My phone, right? Because you have your Verizon account, or your T-Mobile account, or your AT&T account. So I'm going to put cell phone. My username for this will be GRS. I'm going to put a symbol in, because you can put symbols in. I don't want to put that symbol. Back. And this one's going to be, I'm going to put in a word this time. I'm going to put in rip off. $sign off. So I now have these different ones in here. So let's say that's all I want to put in for now. Again, you could store a lot more than this, but this is just for a test. I'm just doing some testing here. So I'm going to press Q to quit. Now again, nothing is saved. So right now, if I was to turn this thing off, reset it, it would all be gone. I want to make sure I get saved on my floppy. So I'm going to go to S, and there's an asterisk saying, listen, you probably should save this. So I'm going to press S, and it's encrypting passwords. Use this file name. That is disk 1 pass, and that's going to be what that is. So I'm going to say, yes, sir. And there we go. It is now saving the files. Again, it is encrypting it as it goes. So So it'll take a few seconds for it to actually do it. So obviously the more passwords you have in here, the longer it will take to save and load. Although you guys didn't see it in here, I have lights on my peripheral expansion box that shows data going from the computer to the peripheral expansion box. And actually, if I turn it over real quick, maybe you can kind of still see it. So this is telling me, oh, a little bit lower, a little bit lower. There we go. So this is telling me there's data going between the two. That was memory access. So when this one lit up here just a second ago, we just caught it. That is why this requires 32K, because this is my cable to my TI. That's my floppy disk, and this is my 32K of RAM. This thing, again, a beast. A beast, a beast, a beast. Let's come back over here. Get these both back in the shot. So right now, if you notice, the asterisk is gone from save, because I have now saved it. So what I'm going to do right now is he always recommends you reset. Don't just turn off your TI. Hit the reset. When you just turn off the computer, it's entirely possible that your 32K RAM hasn't erased. So technically, someone could get access to your TI when you're in the room and get it. So if you really want to be safe, what you do want to do is hit your reset button, or you'll reset here. So what I'm going to do right now, and you can see, if you saw that, that lit, meaning it wiped the RAM. We'll do it again real quick, and you don't see anything right now because there's nothing in the RAM. So now if I go back over here to our TI, go back into PassFort, I'm going to go enter and enter, and there's nothing in the system. I have to load a vault, create a vault, or nothing. So I'm going to say, you know what, I do have a floppy drive, which just happened to have my information on it. So I'm going to go to L this time to load my vault. It's going to ask again, do I want disk 1? And the username of the file is pass. I'm going to say yes. And it's going to take a few moments and load the file. We can see the drive access right there. Now over here, you can see it says enter your password. Now if you remember, when we first set up the vault, it asked you to create a password. And I'm going to put it in wrong. Okay, I'm going to put in just a couple letters here and press enter. See what happens. So we're going to do that. And we can see over here we're getting all our access lights going. We have data going back and forth. The floppy drive is going. And this is my 32 gig RAM. See, it just initiated right there. And it looks like it finished. It did finish. I don't know if you can see that. There's still a little light there because now we're accessing that 32K of RAM. And I'll go back over here. And it says there were 3 passwords. So, okay, let me see what's in there. So I'm going to go to P and list my password. So let's see what's going on here. So I'm going to press P. And you can see they are gibberish. The reason they're gibberish is because they are encrypted and we didn't put in the correct password. So the machine is basically making sure that no one could just load this floppy disk without your password and getting access to all your important passwords. So I'm going to press Q for quit. And I'm going to hit load again. Same idea. So what I'm going to do now is enter the correct password, which we put in as 6 ones at the time. Press enter this time. It's decrypting the passwords. Again, I have 3 passwords stored. Let me hit P this time. There are my passwords, all correct. My bank ID password, my internet ID password, and cell phone ID and password. Now if I pick one, let's say I pick number 1. Description, internet ID password. Username, GRS internet. Password, all ones. Here you have an option to press any key to exit it, or E to edit it if I need to change it. Let's say you change the password. You want to press E at that point to edit. Edit mode, you can change that and leave that the same, leave that the same. But I'm going to backspace on this one and make that a 2. Press enter on that. That is now done. So what I want to do at this point is I'll go to Q to quit. You see there's an asterisk because there was a change made. So I'm going to press S to save. It's now re-encrypting that information onto the floppy. And there it goes. I'll go back over here. Just see our floppy drive doing its work. And it finished. We come back over here. Now I'm going to show you some other things. So I'm going to go back into P again. So I'm going to go back to P. Now let's assume you have pages and pages. Obviously I don't have pages and pages, but let's say you did. And you're searching for something. Like I know I want to find my cell phone one, but I can't find it in the list easy. You can use P and N and scroll till you find it, but you can also do an S, a search. Now the one thing I did notice, if you look at how I have cell phone, I have P as a capital in phone. If I put in just phone, all lowercase, and do a search, it will not find it. So I did let them know that you might want to make it search on both case sensitive if you can. But if I go back and do a keyword with phone as a capital, there it is, number 2, press enter, and there's my information. So this is, again, you have to have a Texas Instruments computer, a TI99 or 4A, and 32K of RAM. But, you know, I'm going to be putting my passwords in here because right now I do not have my passwords stored in any computer because I don't trust them, especially if they're on internet and Windows. There's malware, there's spyware, there's viruses. There's all these different ways that they could, in theory, get on your machine without your knowledge, or get in your profile, or get in your online storage, cloud storage, which are breached all the time. I got, this week alone, like 3 different breaches I was alerted to, that these organizations are so sorry that we lost your data. You know, that should be a criminal. They should be sued up the wazoo for that. You want my information to give me something. I can't do a social security number for banks. They want all those type of information, and they get breached and they lose it anyway. And now my stuff's out there and I got to deal with it. With something along these lines, with something like this PassFort cartridge, well, you are kind of protected because this computer has no online. Well, that's not true. There are ways to get it online today, but there really is no way these computers are really online. They are basically designed pre-internet. They're their own ecosystem, all enclosed, and all my data is now secured on this. Now, I would recommend, and they recommend, you know, make 2 copies. You should have 1 floppy and another floppy, just in case 1 floppy goes bad. These things, again, are from the 80s. You may get one from the 90s, early 2000s, but in any case, this is an old medium. So you want to make sure, if you're using physical floppies like I am here, you want to make another copy of that floppy. Now, there are other storage mediums. There are solid-state micro SD card solutions that would last longer, but I would still recommend, if you're putting all your passwords on there, that you do back up in 2 separate ways. Now, I'll be doing a lot more testing on this, and my TI's out. I'll probably be doing some other videos on this. This is my first little fray in just talking about the PassFort cartridge right here. And so far, I think it's pretty darn good. The one thing I really did notice on it was when you're doing a search, it should try and search for upper and lowercase letters, if it can. Again, I don't know the architecture behind this, but I will say that they are using encryption on this, and that's why when you put your passwords in wrong, it'll do it. Now, is it the most modern encryption? No. The TI is not really capable of encrypting and decrypting high-end ones. But again, for a machine that is offline, for a machine that is a local machine to you, and probably only someone has access in your house to even get to the machine and know where the floppy is and where the cartridge is and to put it in and figure out your password, that's, I think, still a lot better than having an online or an app on your phone that stores all your passwords that's encrypted. Especially with quantum computers coming out. Pretty much when quantum computers come out, there is no algorithm that will protect your passwords, but a quantum computer still can't get in your house and get on a machine that has no internet capabilities. I'm sorry. So this so far I think is pretty cool. I'll put links down below to more information on the PassFort cartridge if you're interested in one, if you have a Texas Instruments computer. But that's it for today. If you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It only takes 1 second for you, but it means a lot to me in the YouTube algorithms. And I'll be making some more videos on the TI here. But again, as fun as this is, and sometimes not fun. I mean, if your identity is stolen, your passwords are stolen, someone breaks into your bank accounts, that's not fun. But you know what else is not fun? Not letting your family and friends know that you love them, because tomorrow's never promised. So make sure you reach out to your family and friends, let them know that they matter and that you love them, because tomorrow's never promised. But in between those times, hit the reset button on your TI and hide your PassFort cartridge from your family members and your disk to keep your stuff secure. And then you can, well, save your money
So you can buy games to game on.